the good thing is that this next round is we have a short track at Martinsville, but we are going to have kind of a little bit of a bigger than 1.5 mile with the Homestead track, and then we have Las Vegas. And Las Vegas has been churning out good races for the past couple of years. I mean, ever since the next-gen cars come along, Las Vegas has been a great race, both in the spring and in the fall. And so I'm really looking forward to this weekend. And I think that this really lines up well for the person sitting in 8th place in the playoffs. I think the Penske cars have been very, very good at Las Vegas. And Ryan Blaney has just kind of been hanging on. It's like, I'm going to do just enough to kind of get in. And then he wins at Talladega. And he's like, nah, I don't have to worry about this Roval at all. And he's just been kind of buying his time. So I think that you're right. I think he has a lot of momentum. He could go into Vegas and be very, very good. But we've also got to look at who has been very good this year on the mile and a halfs as well. And that's Kyle Larson, William Byron, Denny Hamlin, Martin Truex Jr. Those guys have been pretty solid as well. And all 4 of those guys are currently above the cut line.
Yeah, I think this round is going to be really tight between all 8 drivers. Those front 4 who are above the bubble, Kyle Larson, Denny Hamlin, Martin Truex, and William Byron, they've all been good pretty much everywhere we've gone. And I'm going to say I think Kyle Larson, between him and William Byron, are the 2 strongest in the pack right now. Kyle Larson has been very, very good through this playoff, through the 2023 playoffs. Pretty much every race he's had a good car, but some of the races he's gotten into it with an accident or late caution comes out and he doesn't win the race. But I think Kyle Larson has been arguably the fastest car all year round alongside of William Byron. And then Martin Truex and Denny Hamlin, those Toyotas have been really good. Really, really good on the intermediates. And then Chris Buescher, late in the season, he's turned it on and he's been super consistent ever since his first win this year at Richmond. And I think he's going to be super competitive at these next 3 tracks. We got a short track. He's won at a short track this year. We've got an intermediate. They've been very, very consistent there all year round. So we got 2 different intermediates, one we haven't seen this year and one we've seen earlier in the season with Las Vegas. And then Tyler Reddick, Christopher Bell, both really smooth drivers. Tyler Reddick, I think he's got the skill to go out to Las Vegas and Homestead and win both of those races. I think with him and Kyle Larson, it kind of suits their driving style. When we look at Las Vegas, normally a hot and slick track, multiple grooves of racing. That's kind of where Tyler Reddick succeeds the most at. It's there in the road courses. And Homestead is probably Kyle Larson's and Tyler Reddick's best track, if not one of them up there at the top. Christopher Bell, again, he's smooth. He's pretty much good anywhere we're going to go. Really consistent driver. And then Ryan Blaney. The Penske cars have been here and there, but Las Vegas, Joey Logano is very good at Las Vegas, and Penske always seems to bring a really fast car there. And then Martinsville. I think Martinsville could be a shot that Ryan Blaney sneaks in and could win that race as well. So I think these next 3 races, we're going to cut it down to 4 drivers, but all 8 of these guys have a shot, and I think it's going to be really close when we look at it in 3 weeks at Martinsville.
Just like any playoff system, once you get down to about 8 teams, there are no more bad teams anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Like, these guys are the best 8 drivers right now in the sport. I think you could make that argument. And these teams are going to put everything they have into these 8 cars. And then the top 4 out of these 8 are going to move on. So if you look into your crystal ball, I'm going to ask you to kind of predict a little bit. If you look into your crystal ball, before we enter Las Vegas, who do you think the championship 4 will be?
I think that Tyler Reddick is going to sneak his way in, whether it's a win or whether it's on points. That cushion has kind of elevated him back up a little bit, going to some tracks that I think he'll be really, really good at with Homestead and Las Vegas. I think he'll get in. Kyle Larson, he's been great everywhere we've gone this year. He just hasn't gotten the luck when it comes down to those last 15, 20 laps to finish it out. I think with Homestead and Las Vegas coming up, he could snag a win with one of those, and he's going to get points either way. I think he's in. William Byron, and Denny Hamlin. I think those guys have been really consistent. I don't see Martin Truex being able to hold out of this round. He's been pretty inconsistent throughout this playoff run, and I think this is where everybody, the next four drivers that are going to advance are going to go pretty much mistake free through the next three races, and that's what it's going to take. And I haven't seen that from Martin Truex's team. I don't think that that they're going to be able to compete with those four drivers that I just named and hold off the consistency.
So for me, I think that out of that bottom four, you have Chris Buescher, Tyler Reddick, Christopher Bell, Ryan Blaney. Blaney's just kind of been buying his time. I think he's been sneaky consistent. He hasn't really been talked a lot about. He could be good at Las Vegas. I don't know if he's going to be good enough to advance. Christopher Bell last year, he had some magic somewhere. He had a lucky horseshoe, rabbit's foot. He was able to take the pressure and do exactly what he needed to do. He was in must-win situations and cut-off races a couple of different times. He won at the Roval, and then he won at Homestead and was able to advance. Or, excuse me, Martinsville, and was able to advance onto the championship four. So if I'm looking at this, I think the biggest question mark for me is between Kyle Larson and Tyler Reddick. I think one of those two one of those two guys make it. The other one does not. Because I think that it's going to come down to whoever wins that Homestead race. And they're both really good there. I could see actually probably Byron or Denny Hamlin winning at Las Vegas. I think both of those cars are pretty solid. I could see Chris Buescher winning at Martinsville. He's been pretty solid on the short tracks. So if that happens, I think Byron has a big enough cushion. I think he's going to automatically make it in. They've been too consistent all year. So I'm going to say Byron as my number one slot. I think Chris Buescher will win at Martinsville, so I'm going to go ahead and put him at number 2. And then I think you're right. I think Truex has just kind of been holding on by his fingernails, and he's been way the consistency is just not there. So I think he falls out. I think Chris Buescher moves up. Like I said, he wins, and then Denny Hamlin, I think he'll make it. I think this is he's going to make it back to the championship 4. I think he's going to have an opportunity to run for a championship. I think all of this negative energy that he has amassed and all the booze, I think it's just fueling him, and he's going to have a pretty good run. So I don't know who's going to take the 4th spot. I think it's either Larson or Reddick. I think one of those two cars will win at Homestead, and then that will allow them to get in. So I think Buescher moves up, Truex moves down.
Yeah, a lot to really think about, and it could change very quickly at Las Vegas. Say one of these guys has a problem and goes into a must-win situation after Las Vegas. Everything could flip-flop. You could be talking about a guy like William Byron needing a win to advance. Who knows? Anything can really happen.
I mean, we saw it a number of years ago when Dover was still in the playoffs, and Jimmy Johnson, perennial powerhouse at Dover, had a $5 part break. Championship run over. I mean, it could happen. Yeah. It's not out of the realm of possibilities.